It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Getting off of mute there. There we go. Welcome, everybody. Let me know if my audio is working all right. If anybody shows up for the live here. We're broadcasting over on the Facebook and the YouTube. So there's 34 rules coming out, proposed rules. Some of them are solid, some of them are proposed from the ATF. And that means it's a massive project and it's going to be complicated, so let's dig into it. Thanks to everybody who joins us here. If I don't get some feedback, let me open up one of these links and make sure we got some audio going. All right, is that working? Is that working? Is that working? There we go, there we go, there we go. That'll be fun. Let's see what happens with that. Maybe I won't do anything. That would be cool. So let's see. Oh, I probably would have had to have it going. Anyway. All right, so thanks everybody for joining. It looks like the audio is working. I'll just get into it. So we've got 34 proposed and final rule changes from the ATF and the Department of Justice, I think, technically. Some are final, but most are proposals, and those can be commented on. And, we have sort of a good, hot and cold, sort of a hit and miss sort of relationship with comment periods with the ATF. People that have been around since at least, and there's Smoke and Rumble out there, welcome. Is the audio doing okay on your end? Thanks for joining us. So we've kind of had this hot and cold relationship with the Federal Register comment periods. And there's 34 of them right now. So they've done some weird stuff in the past to mess with us. They've done some stuff, kind of set the ball on the tee and let us just come up and wail on it before. This time it's sort of like they put 34 balls on tees. And so it's not bad stuff, but there's a lot of potential here for the people who hate our rights and hate us or hate our property and hate our rights, I guess, best way to say it. Audio is good, thank you. Our video is good, thank you. And thanks to our Patreons. Thanks for mentioning the ticker down there. I forgot about that. So the Patreons make it possible for me to do stuff like this without having to have ads and stuff. So we're taking a look at the register here. Got a couple of pages here. I'm trying not to get too distracted with the other stuff that I've got open on this other computer monitor over here. But I think what I'm going to do is pull this away from the screen. There we go. All right, so we've got the register on the screen here, and where did I lose it now? We also have the ATF's website here on the right side of the screen. So I also have open from the Justice Department an article that talks about this whole thing. All right, so what we're talking about is 34 proposed rules. Some of them are already final, some of them are these comments, and I've been kind of setting the stage here, making sure we're good to go for the live stream. What I'm going to plan to do here is dig into these 34 live and talk about them so that people that are aware but not familiar yet with this topic have a way to do this, hopefully succinctly as possible. So I'm going to group them with the help of the robots into, what do we got here? About 6 different groups. There's categories. First will be the rules that gun owners are going to care about the most, ones that will affect us, right? Then we have the group of them which will affect buying guns, paperwork, and FFL records keeping and that kind of thing. Then there's a section that will affect NFA firearms owners. Then there's going to be a section for the FFLs that deals with compliance and their standards with the regulation or regulatory agency, the ATF. Then there's a section, the fifth section will be on imports and some industry rules, imports and exports, and then some industry rules. And then the sixth section is just some, I guess they're calling them cleanups, so just some things that improve definitions and things like that. So this is something that we can, it's part of our government, and we can watch it happen or we can participate in it, right? So that knowing that we have 34 of these things, knowing that it's going to be a project just to try to understand it all, understanding that this is the types of strategies that they'll use against us whenever they're successful in finding a strategy that catches us off guard or makes us fragment or doesn't keep anything that doesn't bring us together, they're going to do again. So it's to our advantage to be capable enough to come together when it's necessary as a group of people who are have something similar. We all own firearms. We all understand that the right to own those firearms is something that we value. So just that kind of commonality should give us the ability, since we're all capable, to come together and challenge or at least understand and be interactive with these. I don't know what to call this. It's really not so much a challenge right now on the surface, but it's certainly a challenge, like I say, because they're attempting to use the bureaucracy in regards to firearms. And if we allow them to slap us in the face with that bureaucracy, guess what they're going to keep doing, right? But if we stand up and grab their wrist, don't let them slap us at all, then they'll probably, quit, try to do something else. So let's dig into it. I'm going to read the Justice Department thing here. It's not that long. It's just a few paragraphs, and it's got some infographics. So I'm going to read that completely. Then I'll go through and read the ATF's website, which describes the whole thing, because that's a number of paragraphs if you're listening to this in the audio. I have the screens up on the screen here for those of us watching it live here. But I'll read these 2 pages. And then when we get to the actual 34 rules, holy moly, there's no way to read that. I mean, really, there's just not. We've in the past had a single comment period. I think we might have had like 2 comment periods in the past. I'd have to sit here and think about it, because this comment period thing has been happening to us since like 2013 on almost an annual basis at this point, but certainly a regular basis for a while. And like I say, we've had like success, and we've certainly had failures with these being used against us. This is the first time they're being used to kind of, I would say, I'm just going to stop short of saying they're in our favor, but they're certainly not dangerously against us, I don't think, on the surface. But again, there's 34 of them. So when I scroll through, and I have this shrunk down so that people can see on the screen here, there's no way you can read it, but I just wanted to show like the scale or the magnitude of this. Typically, we've had one. There's the register. I don't know how many things happen on the register, but when you search for gun stuff, like we've had one thing a year or once every couple of years that we've had to come over here and deal with this as a community or as an industry. And this time it's 34 pretty much. I mean, I haven't counted, but it's like 25 on a page. Every single one that I'm scrolling past here is part of the things that started this month or last month. Wait, let me go back in here and sort for tobacco and firearms. There we go. I said I didn't sort yet. So each of these started, I got to go newest. All right, so you got to do 2 things. You got to search for the ATF stuff as opposed to all the other stuff that's in here. There's 1,800 things in here. We only want the ATF things. And then we search newest to oldest. I guess there's 1,800 ATF ones. But anyway, when you search from newest to oldest, you'll see that most of these started on 5/8. I think a couple of them started on 5/6, so May 8th or May 6th. But this whole front page, I think that's 25 that we just scrolled past. That whole front page is from this month. And then this whole page, almost, wait, is this the whole page? This page all the way down to here. All the way down to here. So if there's 25 on a page, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're talking 45. Holy crap. So there's a lot of these in here right now. I'm probably doing the math wrong. There's probably 15 on a page or something. But whatever it comes out to, there's not quite 34 that we have to worry about, but there's a bunch that should be on our horizon. Like I say, I'm not going to try to read all those. Each one of those is going to be 25 pages long or something, like more, maybe 50 pages long, because not only are they the proposed rule change, but they're going to be all the verbiage, I don't know what you call it. It's not really lawyer speak. I don't know, legal speak, I guess, because it's all just law editing and definition changing and stuff. So I'm not going to try to read all that, but we will go through and talk about the 34 and kind of group them up, like I said, into those groups of how we're going to, how they're going to affect us and which ones we're going to care the most about getting our comments in on. So let's start with the Department of Justice, something.gov, justice.gov, and there's a whole bunch of stuff there. So I have this. Oh no, I don't have the Justice Department one. So let me put this on the link here. Department. So this is the Justice Department link that I'll put on the screen here. And let's get rid of that so it doesn't goof up the link. And then I can highlight it once it shows up. There we go. So this is the one I'll be reading here first, and there's a link in the description, and there'll be a link. Oh, there's a link in the side chat there. So this is from the Justice Department, and it's dated April 29th. It says the Department of Justice, DOJ, and the ATF is releasing this week 34 notices of final and proposed. Let me do this. It's probably a little easier so people aren't just theoretically knowing what I'm reading about. 34 proposed final and rulemaking following a comprehensive review of existing regulations conducted in accordance with the Executive Order 14, protecting Second Amendment rights. Aren't they gun owners' rights? But whatever. Consistent with ATF's commitment in 2025 to rebuild trust with FFLs and industry stakeholders. This review included a consideration of industry and expert feedback and concerns. This landmark release is the first in a series of regulatory updates ATF plans to issue. There's a bunch of pictures here of everybody, I guess, talking about it and whatnot. I don't know anybody in this picture. I think this guy I've seen before, but I don't know. Oh, wait. That's, you can barely see him, but that's Stephen. I can't think of his name right now. The author. I can't think of his name. But going down here, that means he's probably in this picture too. So if you look at this picture, it's a who's who of people in the Second Amendment community at the moment. Well, I wouldn't say the community, but the people that run the Second Amendment three-letter organizations. You got Knox from American Suppressor Association. Crump is sitting here. Dude from GOA is there. Kraut from Second Amendment Foundation. This dude, I believe, is somebody. That's that other guy. That's, man, why can't I think of his name? Driving me nuts. But the author and scholar. But anyway, it's a pretty neat picture of a bunch of people watching these rules, I guess, be written on a piece of paper. So then it says, I'll continue here. That's my editorial. I'll continue reading from the Justice Department's article here. The resulting rules are an effort to reduce unnecessary burdens on law-abiding citizens and businesses while modernizing regulatory frameworks that no longer reflect current law, agency practice, or current precedent. The aim is simpler, clearer regulations that do not compromise ATF's ability to perform its critical missions to protect American communities from violent crime. The Second Amendment is not a second-class right, said U.S. Acting Attorney General, this Todd Blanchie. This Department of Justice is ending the weaponization of federal authority against law-abiding gun owners. We will continue to vigorously defend their rights as the Constitution demands. Okay. Robert Cicada, who was recently confirmed by the U.S. Senate as ATF director, also emphasized the need to protect the rights of law-abiding citizens and businesses. ATF's mission is to protect public safety and enforce the law. These reforms reflect our commitment to doing that through regulations that are clear, legal sound, and narrowly tailored to that purpose. He added, our enforcement focus from here on out is on willful violators and criminal actors, not inadvertent compliance issues by responsible owners and licensees. Sounds good. Let's see if it works. Summaries of the rules will be uploaded at atf.gov, which I'll open a new tab there just to double check. ATF encourages broad public participation in its regulatory process and invites input on the proposed changes. The agency is committed to reviewing in a timely manner and ensuring consideration of significant feedback into the final rules. Sounds nice, but it's also an open invitation for the antis, who are funded by very rich individuals, to use this opportunity to flood the 34 comment periods with massive generated content. And with the AI, can you imagine the potential for them spamming the comment periods? For the first time, the government has to deal with AI in their comment periods. This is literally the first time they're going to have to do it, and they have 34 of these things to deal with. I wouldn't call this like a home run for us, like we got nothing to do. The last comment period was abused. We look like chumps because the antis put effort into just dominating the comment periods last time. We ignore them as a group, so we don't take the black eye because we don't accept the black eye, but we took a black face. Like in other words, we took both black eyes and a punch to the mouth, and our nose is broke when we got a big scrape on the forehead because they smashed the shit out of us the last time. And we can ignore it all we want, but they're ready for this, and I don't know. I'm not going to say they knew this was coming, but they're certainly prepared for this, and I don't know how many people on our side are thinking about that. Anyway, it looks like that link from the Justice Department article that I clicked on just took me to the main ATF website. What kind of assholes put dogs on the cover? That's trolling. They put dogs on the cover of the ATF website. All right, so we have an infographic here that says BATFE Landmark Regulatory Reform Package. It's got a QR code at the top and their logo. These proposed regulatory changes represent a comprehensive reform effort, updating regulations to align with statutory language and case law, and modernizing practices to reduce unnecessary burdens on law-abiding citizens and businesses, all while reinforcing ATF's core mission to combat violent crime, safeguard lawful commerce, and uphold the Constitution of the United States. So it says, and is this like shorthand for the different comments, maybe? I guess that's what it is. So this is their way to group them. I mentioned I grouped them with the help of my robots into 6 different groups. This infographic, it looks like they grouped them into modernize, and they're looking at modernizing like the 4473, record keeping, retention periods, FFL easy check system, and remote identification. That one had 5 or 6 points to it. I'm not going to read the others because they have the rest of the 34, but they've broken them up into modernize, clarify, reduce burden, align, and repeal. And you can tell that's a periodic way to group these 34 things. I grouped them with the help of my robots into rules that affect gun owners the most. Then the second group is buying guns, paperwork, and record keeping. The third group is NFA firearms and owners. Then the fourth group is FFL compliance and enforcement. The fifth one is import exports and some industry rules. And then the sixth one is the lowest priority. There's even some ones for like cigarettes in there. So it's interesting that they organize them on their one and only infographic to explain this whole thing. They organize them into modernize, clarify, reduce burden, align, and repeal. Just seems like such a bureaucratic thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. But anyway, keep going with the verbiage from the Department of Justice article about this. It says clear instructions for submitting comments may be found via the federal e-rulemaking portal at regulations.gov and in each, whatever this is, NPRM, The comment periods will generally be open for 90 days from the date of publication, but may vary. Please pay attention to the dates for each proposal. And that's it. So pretty short and sweet with an infographic that, in my opinion, is stupid, but whatever. So I'm going to zoom out of this. And now that was the Justice Department article, like about this little thing that's going on. And now we'll go over, I should have left it open. We'll go over to the ATF's page where they describe this little news, or this situation specifically, like a page devoted to this whole 34 issues. Book Rumble says artificial intelligence is just intellectual property law, research grants, hardware and software and firmware, market development, and associated campaign contributions. I mean, I guess, but that's like saying like maybe any piece of infrastructure. At this point, AI is just an infrastructure. The same way we had cable lines back in the old days that allowed telephones to, make business easier, and the way we have like street lights and plumbing and that kind of thing. AI is infrastructure at this point. It happened pretty quick. We enveloped it pretty quick, but it's allowing things to just progress a little bit faster. Same way that Photoshop, nobody paid attention when Photoshop made everything a lot easier and put a lot of people out of work. It wasn't the scale maybe as AI, or there's just more people that don't know nothing about AI or don't care to learn about AI and instead profit off of the number of views they get. We're going to probably delve into in future shows that aren't related to this, how much money you make saying the sky is falling, but $30,000 $30,000 a month for simply saying the sky is falling is not unusual. There's plenty of people out there that are making $30,000 a month or more without anything, without any kind of product other than some kind of shows that say the sky is falling, and they get a lot of people to jump in and be concerned about that. So AI is prime real estate for that. They're never going to try to have a pragmatic opinion of it or a pragmatic overview of it, because that just doesn't make the headlines that bring in their money. And it's just, just a facet of the world we live in. Anyway, so this is the ATF thing, the ATF website talking about this situation. It's called ATF. Oh, let me highlight it over here. Here's the ATF's website. It says ATF's new era of reform. ATF launched a new era of reform in 2025 focused on a commitment to transparency, accountability, and partnership with the firearms industry, gun owners, and the public. Under new leadership, the agency has fundamentally changed course, moving towards a model built on trust and collaboration. This means working with federal firearms and explosive licensees partners, reducing unnecessary burdens on law-abiding businesses and citizens, and ensuring ATF's actions are grounded in clear statutory authority focused on protecting American communities from violent crime driven by explosives, arson, and the illegal use of firearms. Arson. I didn't know arson was in their file. The new era actions taken, we got some bullet points, published a landmark package of proposed and final rules to streamline regulations and forms, reducing burden on dealers and gun owners alike. Public comments are encouraged during the open comment period for each rule. Rules can be found in the following pages. There's the repeal group, the modernize group, the reduce burden group, the clarify group, and the align group. Look at that. Same as their infographic over on the Department of Justice, or the Justice Department's thing. Bullet point number 2, ended the enhanced regulatory enforcement policy that had targeted FFLs whose licenses were revoked or surrendered under the policy may reapply under the new administrative action policy. Okay. Published a new administrative action policy emphasizing firearms traceability and public safety while de-emphasizing immaterial paperwork errors. Revised process for determining what inspection and compliance data is published. Instituted a NICS alert policy restricting use of NICS alerts to federal firearms trafficking violations. established a senior industry partnership advisor liaison to address industry concerns and foster productive engagement, established a classifications board requiring all new firearms classifications to be reviewed and approved by the Office of the Director prior to publication, improved response time from FATD to FFL. I have no idea what that is before. Reversed, well, it's probably from, so the technology division is usually people that answer questions on like, is this legal? Or like, is this a gun? Reverse bans on the importation of non-lethal training ammunition and dual-use barrels. So I guess that was an issue. The new proposed okay, that was some bullet points for the new era actions taken. Now we'll be talking about the new proposed Form 4473. So ATF is revising information collection to include material changes on the 4473 as part of the revision to make it easier and faster for respondents and licensees to complete the form. And it aligned more closely with the statute and with plain writing requirements. Please utilize the link above to see a summary of changes, a draft of the form, and instructions for making a comment. So I have actually just recently filled out a 4473, so I'm interested to see what this new one's going to look like comparatively. And then the last section here is what's next. It says this is an ongoing effort. The ATF is committed to continued modernization and welcomes public input on proposed rules. To provide comment, please visit the Federal Register. There's a link there, and search for the rule you'd like to comment on under its RIN number. So do they tell us what a RIN is? No. Then for general questions about industry outreach efforts, contact their blah, blah, blah. And that's it. That was May 12th, yesterday, on the ATF website. So let's see, what did that link to? That linked to this page on the Federal Registry. Guess what? We got another page. Oh no, this is the ATF thing. So we do have one other page though to link to in a minute here. But since it told us about this new 4473, I went ahead and linked on it. And let's link to the form. Not supposed to use it. I believe it's a draft. And there's draft written all over it. So let's zoom in and take a look at this new 4473. I think that's all the same. Well, it's different because it doesn't have a bunch of shit at the top here. So that's cool. Let's see. So Social Security. It put the race and all that shit back to one little line here instead of like, I don't know, it seemed like there was, are you this, are you that, are you this, are you sure you're not this or that? And it seemed like there was like a bigger chunk of the page here for that section. So I think they put this back to what it used to be. Let's see, and then you got your 10 questions from the 1968, no wait. Holy shit, what is this? That's weird. So it's way different because there used to be 10 questions from the 1968 Gun Control Act and everybody had to blah, blah, blah. And that's why there was that big section with the 10 questions. This is different. So you got your info, that's fine. And then you have, so there's only 4 questions to answer. I have not been convicted of a crime by punishable more than a year. I am not under indictment in any court for felony. No, indictment in any court, including military court, by more than a year. I have not been convicted of a misdemeanor domestic violence. All the following statements are true. Oh, I see. They put the 10 questions in just one question now. So that's a lot easier, I guess. Because who really cares which one you're saying no to? If you're saying no to any of them, you're out of there. And if you're saying yes to all of them, then you only need 10 yes questions or whatever. So I guess that's 10 questions are still here. They're bullet points. I know these words, but is that better? I guess. It's going to make it more confusing for some people. If they've never done one before, they're going to go, what the fuck's all this? But that's what you get for loving bureaucracy so much. That's what you get is forms and dumb shit. So then citizenship. Why is this such a big fucking thing? How hard is it to be a citizen? because there's like 1,000 different ways to not be a citizen, I think. And I guess they're trying to figure out all those things in here. And then it's nothing else from us. So I guess it's better because you only got like your name and shit and then 4 questions to answer and you're pretty much done. And then I guess you have to write United States now. Did you have to write United States in the past? I don't remember writing United States. That seems like a lot of words to have to write. But whatever. That's the new 4473. You can comment on it at the register. So that's what the last thing we'll take a look at here. Like I said, I didn't mind reading the Justice Department. Let's see. I didn't mind reading the, I think actually I already had this in here. I didn't mind reading the Justice Department article or the ATF article because they were just a few paragraphs. But this one is massive. This is massive. So we'll end by just putting the link up here. There is a link to the Federal Register. And when you get into the Federal Register, the link that I'm giving you, at least, because the reason it's so long is because it includes BATFE here. And when you click search, it'll search. And then once you've searched, sort by newest, right below that search button, there's a way you can sort. And that'll give you the newest ones. On page 1 here, you'll see that this one, the most recent one, came up yesterday or the day before, like on the 8th. It was just the other day. And then, like I say, this entire front page, I'm scrolling through here, all of these are the different, all the 34 that we're talking about here. Still, these are from 2 days ago or 3 days ago. And then almost the whole second page is also current or recent ones. So as I've scrolled back, I'll just go ahead and read them all, read some of them here. Let's see. Let's do it this way. Like I say, let's do them in my sorting order. So we've got the stuff that's going to relate to us the most. And I'm going to say that's probably the stabilizing braces. There's a rule change to make the language more precise. There's one for engaged in the business, which revises the definition of who is selling a firearm. Not, it doesn't matter to us, a lot of the FFL ones, but if they're going to call you an FFL for selling a gun, that kind of matters. And that's what this one is about. Bump stocks and the definition of machine guns, that one's in here. That one is going along with the Cargill decision out of, Michael Cargill out of Texas took the ATF to the Supreme Court. So that's their comment period on that one. The interstate firearms travel clarifies places that you can take firearms with the Firearms Owners Protection Act from 1986. Let's see, there's the common carrier travel, which clarifies that a gun, when a gun is considered deliverable. And I believe that's the whole sending guns through the mail thing. There's a couple of them that have to do with the guns in the mail, though. There's the Brady Act permit exceptions, which clarifies when states can substitute NICS. And then the 4473 changes that we just talked about. Definitely streamlines it. I don't know if it's going to it's definitely streamlines it for the second time you do 4473, right? For subsequent 4473s. Not sure it's going to streamline it for first-time buyers, but that's just me. So then there's the section of these 34 rules that has to do with buying guns, paperwork, and dealer records. It affects almost all the gun buyers because that's how we get our guns, right? It has to do with background checks and that kind of thing. So again, the 4473 being revised, the use of the electronic 4473, that's in here somewhere. There's electronic record keeping by FFLs. And, the more they lean into that, that's another conversation probably. There's firearms record retention periods. And again, this is kind of just having to do with records keeping. There's something in here about the easy check for FFLs. Oh, goodness, how boring this is. Non-over-the-counter firearms transactions for same-state residents. I don't have to think about what that means. Non-over-the-counter firearms transactions for same-state residents. So maybe transferring stuff across state or within state lines or something. Uncompleted transaction records, multiple sale report retention. So if you don't know, if you buy more than one pistol within 7 days, there's a whole nother report that's put out on you, and a whole nother group of people that are informed that you're one of those people. You're one of those people that buy more than one handgun within 7 days. You're probably selling that to people on the streets. So does it matter that they've been keeping record? They've been making every FFL, keep track of everybody in the world that's, well, not every world, but everybody in the United States that has been buying more than one pistol within 7 days? Yeah, it's one of those things. If we cared and we were bored, we could knock that out, get rid of shit like that for our FFLs. But, so the next one is the theft and loss report, retention info. Again, burdens on FFLs, put the FFLs out of business eventually, make it real difficult for them to hire employees because they have to be super specially trained or whatever, at least competent. And, that makes them more expensive employees and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. So then we get the section on NFA, important for SBS, SBRs, machine guns, and some paperwork. So you've got the NFA interstate transport without advanced approval. You got long-term NFA relocation without waiting for approval. You've got joint NFA registration for spouses without a trust, I assume. Removing law enforcement notification for applications, allowing makers to adopt existing makers' markings, which is, again, annoying compliance if you really want your gun to look period correct. NFA making application background check text, and let's see, tax remittance changes, machine gun transfers between qualified licensees. That's interesting. I didn't hear anybody talk about that one yet. And then SOT clarification for the SOT tax and what they can do, I guess. It's kind of hard to understand some of the summaries of the weird jargon, right? So now the next one is FFL compliance and enforcement standards. Definitely less exciting, but important for gun shops. Like say, when we can streamline their workflows, we keep them in business longer. We just keep them around and make it less burdensome for them. So it also affects how long they can stay in business. So definition of willfully for firearms violations, clarification on straw purchases. There's definitions on business premises. I'm curious to see what that one's about because, gun shows are a big deal because that's the only place a gun shop can do business besides their brick and mortar. So if they change the definition of premises, that's going to be interesting. Or it might just be more useful for, or maybe an issue with home FFLs. I'm not really sure what that one's about. Reduced emphasis on minor paperwork errors sounds good. End of the prior enhanced regulatory. So end of this regulatory enforcement policy that would put FFLs out of business for those minor paperwork errors. So not only emphasizing less on them, but removing the requirement for them to give them the zero tolerance or the zero strikes rule. They have a new action policy for administrative issues. NICS alert have different policies now, better response times, and a new classifications board, whatever that means. So then the next section would be for imports and exports, and then some other rules in here. These are mostly industry stuff, but again, they can affect what we can get and that kind of thing. And some of it's training stuff. So they call foreign trade zones and custom bonded warehouses, importing dual-use frames, receivers, and barrels. That sounds interesting. Importing training rounds. I don't know why it's a big deal. I guess it probably is a big deal. Converting temporary imports into permanent imports. I don't know what that is, but it sounds interesting. Export control references to Commerce Department rules, whatever that is. Updating prescribed countries. No. Is that what it says? Updating proscribed countries for import restrictions. I don't know what that means. Component definitions under the Arms Export Control Act and reversing bans on non-lethal training ammunition and dual-use barrels. Like some trainer got in there and made sure that they were going to be able to get ammunition or whatever they're looking for. So then some of the lower priority stuff or specialized kind of things that clean up some rules or make things more clear, create clarity or something. real changes, but they're more narrow focused. Some of them are even tobacco. So improving the Youth Handgun Safety Act notification requirements, removing triplicate filing for importing plastic explosives. Oh my goodness, that's going to be such a burden on those people that import plastic explosives. Huh? And why are we importing plastic explosives? We can't make our own plastic explosives? Come on, man. Contraband cigarettes and smokeless tobacco rules updates. Biological sex selection on the ATF forms. Actually, that one is one that's got people upset. Mental health, and we'll probably see a lot of action on that particular comment period. Mental health prohibited person definition updates. I'm curious to hear what some of the organizations out there focused on mental health and the intersection of mental health and firearms, what they're going to say about that particular rule. And then technical updates to match existing law or agency practices, whatever that means. And then closing that's it. So this is that's it. That's the summary of the list. Like I say, I'm not going through here and reading each one, mainly because they're not in random order. I guess the order that they probably finished them or got them approved or something, because they're not in alphabetical order or anything, and they don't seem to be grouped, even in the groupings that the ATF and Justice Department suggests that they can be absorbed in. So a couple of things to, again, keep in mind from this one is that they threw all this at us at one time, 34 rule changes at once. The other side, that's funded by really, really wealthy, people that care about this situation, have in the past been able to manipulate the comment periods on individual, issues. Now we have 34 issues going up. Are we about to get our asses handed to us? Probably, I think we are. It really depends on how much they lean into trying to, use these comment periods to prevent any of this stuff from happening. What's the odds of gun owners getting up and doing something proactively to say, thank you, government, for instigating this, even though it's not what we would love. It's nice to put something that's, on paper that removes some garbage and that makes some things easier. If we can't be bothered to put positive stuff, yet the other side is going to either get paid or just get a sense of accomplishment by putting up anti-stuff and potentially blocking any or all of these, what'll happen is we'll get our asses handed to us. The three-letter organizations at the national level will use that situation to say, you should pay us more monthly because we shouldn't let this happen again. Isn't this outrageous? If I go to GOA and the only no compromise gun lobby in Washington, which is what Ron Paul said. I've seen him compromise at least 3 or 4 times at this point. Let's take a look at their main site. And the first thing we saw on the carousel, I guess we have to wait. First thing we saw on the carousel was comment now to stop the ATF's illegal registry. So in the 34 new rules, they proposed to change their out of business records retention. They have a pre-written comment. All right, so that's cool. You've got one of the 34 covered here, GOA. Like, you've really got this one down. Now, okay, so the second thing in your turntable thing here. Oh, no, it's a link to your show. How about the third one? That'll right back to the 11 comments. No, Virginia. Sure, Virginia's important because they're getting wasted right now. DOJ surrenders its appeal. Oh, no, it's just more rules, I guess. And we're winning donate now. So that's frustrating because there's not much in here. Let's go to national alerts. It's basically the same list, right? So they're not really, I don't know where am I missing something? Like, I don't know where else to look besides the front page. This is a menu. So this is static and it doesn't change. This is like a subscribe and sign me up. And then, ATF's new rules. Here's a video. I'm supposed to watch a video. So that takes you to a video that's 10 minutes long. Now, it might just be them patting themselves on the back for making this happen, but not much instruction for what to do with these 34 comments. So let's go to SAF. Second Amendment Foundation, part of the most effective pro-gun rights group. So a lot of shit about entering the win or pop-ups or whatever. So this isn't a turntable. This is just a header with a join. We're so good. Learn more. View what's so good. Latest news. Something about the Virgin Islands, the Ninth Circuit Court. Tate, the sailor, who's in jail for having a demilled rocket launcher. Just stupid. ATF's proposed rule change. Let's go look. So this is from May 5th, and we got an article here. And there's a link to the Federal Register subtly in their shitty type. So I don't know what else we get from Second Amendment Foundation, but I don't know if you're going to read this. Does it give you much call to action there? Like, so there's that. I don't know what else to see on their front page. So it's certainly not news. What other organizations are there? What's the other one? The FPC. They're usually jumping on things. That same picture that's always on their website since the beginning. Take action, maybe I'll get one there. Like the new brief, FPC brief proves lifetime gun ban is unconstitutional. So maybe they just had so much news going up that this is passed, so I'll go up here to take action. Position, Keep Americans Armed Safe Act. So this is interesting, but I don't see, the 34 things. So all I'm saying is, I'll be the first to call out these 3-letter organizations at the national level. They get a shit ton of money. They've told us that let's go to NRA and see what they're doing. They've told us that they're all taking over for what the NRA can't do. So NRA, bragging about their show they just had. Thank you for a great weekend. Now wait for next year, make a reservation, look at a bunch of shitty videos, future of the annual meetings, upgrade your experience. Well, all right, so it's not on their main page, but they're certainly going to have a link or something to take action. So, oh, you know what? My bad. I went to the NRAM. Let's go to the NRA instead of the NRAM site. So let me type back in there, NRA. Nope. How about you do what I want and not what you feel like doing there? Stupid. All right, so National Rifle Association Home. There we go. And I'll give it credit. For a long time, it was the National Restaurants Association that would come up. Either my browser knows that I don't care about restaurants, or the internet finally figured out that the NRA is a little bigger than the Restaurant Association. I think. I'm assuming it is. So anyway, let's take a look at the NRA one. Let's see what the first thing on their little turntable here is. NRA committed to training. Yeah. Elections are taking place. Blows the whistle on the NRA Foundation. Members regarding this. President Trump's one big beautiful bill. How old is that? So not much there. View. Join. We're so good. Yeah, they're kind of not doing anything on the front page here. So trending on ILA. Caution, anti-gunners don't care about gun safety. Certainly nothing on the NRA either. So all the sites that, the 3-letter organizations that bring in all the money aren't really talking about this one. It is certainly difficult to talk about. There's a lot to it. It's 34 things all dropped at once. We'll have about 3 months to deal with it. Our history has been that we don't deal with one at a time very effectively. There's been a few times over the years when, as a community, we've been very, we had at the times when social platforms and social media and content and laws and everything, cool, kind of came together at the same time, like 2013 to 2015, that era. There was a lot of participation, maybe that's the way to say it, like awareness and participation in our rights. And we had just seen concealed carry happen in all 50 states with Illinois coming on board. And that gave us, I think, a rejuvenation in understanding that gun ownership, or the view of gun ownership, had moved, the Overton window had moved in our direction, in a positive direction. So people were very aware. And, it was soon after that kind of high point that they suggested that they should ban M855 ammo, and that they put up a comment period. So, we've had these comment periods happen. We've had them for the bump stock. We've had them for other things. And we've had just a lot of success and failures, both. And the last time we had one was one of our failures. And the antis was their first time. Am I wrong? Is it their first or second? It might have been their second, but it was definitely the antis' time to shine. And they used effectively mass spamming of the system. We've had that happen with Gun Owners of America using their automated systems and their huge membership and their effective campaigns to get people to use their, like boilerplate little plug-in thing. And what happened was the ATF said, we're going to just take all of these and put them together because we can file them, filter them all together because they're all from the same boilerplate. So we're going to take them, but we're going to weigh them a little bit differently than all the individual comments. And then we laid off on that, I think, as a community. And the next couple of times we needed to use this comment period, it's not like we decided to use this. The government is pushing us at it. So when it's been pushed at us to use, we haven't had real good success. And we certainly haven't had any national level leadership, direction, any coordination at all. And it's sad, but true. The only time they'll get together is when they can all act like they did something on some fucking lawsuit, or get together and create 34 national rules all at once. So that's the other weird part. They all got together in that room and watched them sign 34 rules, and then they all went silent. They all went off radio silent as soon as it came time to address the work that needs to be done by all of us for those things to be effective. Because 34 rules, shit, if they did 34 rules in a row, we'd be wasted. If they did them 2 at a time, we'd still get kicked, our ass kicked. I don't know how well we're going to do on this one with 34. I think a lot of people are going to go, oh, good, the ATF is going our way, on not realizing that the ATF just said, we'll do something different. All we got to do is have your approval, USA, and put it out here for a little, 2-week, 3-month, should say 3-month period. And we'll let the USA decide if we're going to make these changes. You don't think the people on the other side who hate our rights and our property aren't going to spend some time over the next 3 months destroying this, saying every one of these things shouldn't happen? Every single one of these things shouldn't happen. And all that'll do is strengthen their skills and techniques over here. It'll give them some new feather in their cap, a new strength, a new arrow in their quiver, and they'll start using this their way. They'll start using this because they'll know that this is a realm or an area, an arena that they have the advantage in, and they'll take every single fight this way. And they'll know that it'll take us time to keep up because we've got people on our side who want to get rich and famous when these things happen. It sucks. All right, well, so that's my commentary. That's my description of what's going on here. You can take with that or ignore it to your leisure and fight or not. I don't give a shit. We're gonna all see what happens at the end of this, one way or the other. I'm not gonna stress out on it, but at the same time, I'm gonna do my part to try to offer some summary of it and some perspective on it, and a little bit of urging for those that do give a shit, that are those who are able and understand that the single drop never thinks it's responsible for the flood, but those who do understand the results of combined effort understand when it's time to get, to roll up your sleeves and get to work. Good luck. Have fun. Nobody commented, so thanks for watching and being weirdly weird about it and not commenting. But thanks to Vulcan for commenting. He's a regular human out there being normal. Everybody else is kind of creepy and just kind of watching without saying anything. We go live because I value real conversation, and going live is a way to, not use AI to have conversations like this. So if you value that, join us live. I want to thank our Patreons who allow us to do stuff like this without a bunch of ads and shit, and without having to sell you on some organization that hadn't done shit except stand around and watch this shit happen all the time. All right, well, that's it. We'll end it and see you on the next time.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.